welcome back to the channel. Now, I see many stupid things on the internet, but this is one of the most ridiculous and preposterous claims I've yet to find. Oh, the solar system was made during the Big Bang. Lasses and lads, if you have watched any videos by Neil deGrasse Tyson or Astro Kobe or anything or anybody like that, they will tell you the same thing I will. We are not the center of the universe, no matter how many times songs will tell you that. Instead, we are here. We are in the Orion Arm in the Milky Way galaxy. This is orbiting a small black hole known as Sagittarius A. Now, small being, it's small in the grand scheme of things, but it is many times more massive than our sun. Now, our sun, and the solar system we are in, is within that arm, orbiting Sagittarius A, and we are orbiting our sun, otherwise called Sol. Now, Sol is interesting as it is the Spanish translation for the word sun, and is used often in media and in science to distinguish the days, or how many times a planet has rotated around its axis, so that way a full day has gone past, such as in the book called The Martian by Andy Weir, which is probably the most famous example of that I can give you. Oh, but you didn't answer my question. Our lives, also, are the only ones that have been discovered, and it must take ages to develop life, so we must be at the center of the universe. First, you're kind of right. Making life can take hundreds of millions, up to possibly even billions of years to do so. Well, at our level of intellect or evolution. Anyway. But we are essentially walking and talking miracles. But we didn't start at the time that the Big Bang began, as our best estimates say that was 13.6 billion years ago. Think about that. Billion. The longest time a human has been alive is around 126 years. 126 compared to billions. We don't fully know if that is correct, but that is our best estimate. Oh, but the machine must be wrong because such and such said so. I don't know what you're talking about. If you're saying a machine did it, hang on. Do you know how we date non-alive things? No, but it must be a machine that can be broken. I and the rest of the solar system formed during the Big Bang, as the matter in me was formed back then. First, yeah, all matter formed back then, because before that it was essentially nothingness, and our nothingness was then formed during the Big Bang, because the Big Bang started because of a singularity within whatever came before the universe. So your answer is well, yes, but actually no. The way that we date things that have lived is through a system called radiocarbon dating, and according to the University of Chicago, radiocarbon dating works by the premise of living things that absorb an isotope of carbon called carbon-14. Now, don't worry, this is safe to touch, it's also safe to ingest, and it is constantly happening to you right now. It will not harm you. It's just a very simple way to know how old something is, or how long ago something has died. It's kind of like the microorganisms on your skin, crawling around at this very moment. No matter how many times you wash yourself, or how thoroughly you do it, you will never be clean. But that's not really the point here. This isotope changes into different isotopes over a span of time. How long is that? I don't know, I couldn't find more than one source that agreed on this. But according to, again, the University of Chicago, it says 60,000 years is as far back as we can calculate, because of the amount of time it takes for carcasses to lose their access to said isotope, and all of it changes into other isotopes during that span of time. But back on topic, radiocarbon dating doesn't completely concern us, as we are instead talking about how old the Earth is, as well as the Sun, as Earth would not be able to exist without the Sun, which means it's probably a little bit older, but we haven't really, well, checked it that way, so it kind of makes sense for the entire solar system to be formed at once. Anyway, the way that we do this is through a little system called uranium, thorium, and lead dating. This is done by taking rock samples from the Earth's crust. We incorporate uranium, thorium into the rock structure. This ejects lead after a certain amount of time, because the uranium and thorium will create fresh, I don't know how to pronounce this, I'm going to assume zircon will be formed within the rock. Now this will have no lead in it, and will eject all the lead that it can that isn't currently under the subcategory of radiogenic. Now, we do have an answer to how long it takes for lead to become radiogenic, which means we have an answer to our problems, boys. But because of some rocks within the Earth's crust will be, well, newer, as rocks are always being formed on the Earth's crust, as like pieces of the mantle come out during earthquakes, or they get shot out through volcanoes, things like that. That's how we have like amazing basalt structures and obsidian. It's brilliant. It's like really fascinating if you're into geology. But that doesn't really matter. We can calculate how long the lead has been there by how much of it is still left within the rock sample after we tested it originally. We can also use this to understand how long the Sun and the other planets have been around, even though technically they probably wouldn't all be the same age. They'd probably be around the same age, but they wouldn't be exact, as the Sun would have formed first. But at this point, I'm trying not to ramble for time. Though I did talk about radiocarbon dating for like an extra minute or two than I should have. But that is not the point. It isn't guaranteed that the entire solar system would form at the same time, but it's our best estimate. Anyway, multiple times this experiment has been conducted for as deep as we can go in the Earth's crust. And they'll say around 4.2 billion years. So that is how old we consider the Earth. Hang on. But if the Sun is 9.2 billion years younger than the Big Bang, then why is this an argument? Now, hang on. First off, there are two of you now? What do you brothers, you look like the other one. Second, it's because some people, and I'm looking at you flat earthers, believe that everything that the government tells them is a lie and all is a cover-up for the hidden truth that they need to find out for themselves. If they want to know something, they need to see it in front of their own eyes, with the information to back it up. Even though, during that estimated formation time of the solar system, we, as a society, were doing nothing, as we couldn't live. And we were just, well, in a sense of us as the planet, were a ball of flaming rocks, occasionally getting hit by other balls of flaming rocks. This isn't entirely the fault of the flat earthers and conspiracy theorists. Yes, they are wrong, but it took us nearly 100,000 years of just being a human species to find out how old we are as a species and as a planet. Who knows, maybe in the future with an Earth-sized telescope, we'd be able to find out a more accurate age of our universe in the future. But our universe will be around much longer after we have left the Earth, whether that is by extinction or by evacuation. But how we determine the age of the universe was through the act of taking a photo, zooming in on the image, right-clicking on a star, clicking on the properties menu, which will tell us its core components, how long it's been burning, and its age, as well as like what type of star it is. No, it's a joke. Seriously, we used our most accurate telescopes, such as the James Webb Space Telescope and the WMAP, to zoom in as far as they can to the tightest cluster of stars that we can observe. Using days, like human days, of exposure time to just try and tell us the approximate distance they are away from us. Isn't that insane? Now, as far as we've been able to zoom in, that number has been around 13.4 billion years old, which is where we got that estimate. Now, that's been thrown into calculations and data sets, and it all seems to come up a-okay. So we will be using that for now until we try and calculate it again. This is what we have. Are our methods perfectly accurate for that? Not that we can tell yet, because both can be wildly inaccurate. But these are currently our best option, so we will go with them. Are we completely sure of our answers? Oh no, I'm not a scientist. I'm a student who barely understands the information he is talking about. Understanding the world around you is barely possible, even by the most knowledgeable people in, well, the world. Do you want a real answer? No. We are not completely sure we are not completely sure. There is always experiments to be done on this topic, and they may produce different results over time. For now, this is what we can do. I'll leave you with this. Good night, Tri-State Area.